Hey everybody, this is On here coming to you with this month's video. And this month we are talking about how to make successful big choices. Now, in our March codes coming up, we have a lot around big choices. We have a lot around making choices and how important those are in our life because when we're making choices and the bigger choices we're making, they're all kind of dictating what direction our life is going to go. They're going to have a big influence on whether we move ourselves in a favorable direction or an unfavorable direction. For those that don't know, I am the author of The Code Journey, and that is this book right here. It's daily guidebook giving insights on the energy currents for the year, the months, the days, angel influences, lunar influences, other portal energies that are going on that we need to pay attention to. So there's a lot there. And with this, I think that this is such a big topic. It's actually something I haven't really talked about in a while. So big choices are, again, they're coming up. I'm not talking about necessarily what you want to have for dinner, although that too could have a big impact, right, on how things go for you. But, we're talking those bigger life choices. We're talking about what's happening when maybe we have somebody come back into our life or we get a second chance with something or and I'm trying to do this. I keep seeing the glare on my glasses, which I don't like, but I'm sorry about that. I gotta be able to see things too. Um, these are the big choices, the life-changing decisions. Should we move forward with our entrepreneurial plan? Should we go to work for a big company? Who should we work for? What type of profession do we want to go into? Should we buy a house? Should we rent a house? These are the bigger choices that we have. And we're going to be faced, I think, with a lot of big choices coming in over the next couple of months. And so we really want to work with this energy and make sure that we are taking some steps that can help us be successful in making those choices. Um, because certainly we don't want to be going down unfavorable paths. We want to be laying the foundations for what will create favorable paths or directions for us. So, with big choices, there's some things that come up. A lot of times there will be doubts that will come up, uncertainty that will come up, a fear of repeating past choices that we've made that maybe didn't work out so well, right? I mean, we see that happen a lot in relationships. Like, oh my God, I've chosen people who are, a certain personality type, and it just doesn't work out. And now I'm afraid, what happens? This person seems really nice now. Are they still going to be nice in a year from now? What happens when a challenge comes up and things, then what do they do? And so these fears can really consume us. They can immobilize us, they can paralyze us, and we don't want that, So we want, if we're learning how to make choices wisely, then we can alleviate some of those fears. We can get them subsided so that we can keep our head clear. Now, the very energetic principles of choice or choices, choice in its singular form, is about learning. In other words, we've got to be able to embrace the experience at hand. We've got to be willing to realize that even when we're going down favorable directions, there are going to be some challenges. We may stumble and fall a little bit along the way. We're going to have to draw on the wisdom of others. We have to come into that kind of humility space of recognizing, okay, I don't know it all. Maybe somebody who's been down this path can help me out or give me a little guidance along the way. It's about realizing that it is okay to fall once in a while. It is okay to make a mistake. Anybody who's done something entrepreneurial or been self-employed, you get that definitely because I'm going to make some mistakes and I'm going to have to correct those mistakes. The question is, do I learn from them? This is a big part of making a choice. When we look at choices, plural, we need to be able to tap into that true abundant state within us. We have to be able to tap in here to the heart space and to take a look and say, is what I'm doing what I really want to be committed to? Am I willing to see it through? Is what I'm choosing going to be something that I'm willing to see through from start to finish? Is what I'm choosing going to benefit other people as well? Does it help people, animals, planet, whatever? Does it have some kind of humanitarian component to it, which is also very big in our codes coming up? So when we look at this, the way to face some of these doubts, this uncertainty, this fear, is to learn from things and to look back and go, okay, where did things go wrong? Where did they take that bad turn? Where did they get off course? Okay, well, if that's where they got off course, I can pay attention for that. Okay, well, maybe I didn't say anything up front with people in my past, and now I've shifted, I've changed, I've gained some strengths, and now I can stay true to saying something sooner with people as opposed to waiting until it's too late on something. Knowing where I need to be more forgiving, knowing where I need to be less forgiving, so to say. I mean, forgiveness is always a great thing, don't get me wrong, but maybe where I need to hold stronger boundaries or respect for myself in things. One of the big things we want to do, though, is when we've got a really big, important decision to make, is we want to take the time to think things through. Don't rush through it. Don't try to force it. Don't try to be super fast with it. Think things through without distractions and influences by others. And I think that's really important because we can get a lot of input from people. We can get a lot of opinions from people, and a lot of people want to add their 2 cents worth. But sometimes that can kind of cloudy up our mind a bit. So we need to step away. We can get the input if we want. We can ask people, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? Do you have any experience in this that you can share with me and help me to know what to pay attention to, what to not, be avoiding, what to not do, and things like that. And you can get some of that advice. But before you make that big decision, you really want to sit with yourself, sit in the stillness, sit in the quiet, and not have anybody else around giving input into that mind. And to sit with it and to really see, because it's not just your mind, it's your heart. What are you feeling in here? If it feels like you're suffocating your spirit, it might sound good in your head, but if the feeling inside of you is like, oh my God, this is just totally destroying me, then you've got another thing to face. Well, am I feeling that way because I'm in fear and it's just unknown factors, or am I feeling that way because there's something I need to be paying attention to that's not right for me, that I'm denying maybe and not looking at and not paying attention to? This is huge because we need that clarity for ourselves. And again, if all we're doing is getting this input from other people and we don't take any time to just be with our own thoughts, then we'll tend to make the decisions based on what other people want for us or what they think we should be having instead of what's actually best for us, what's actually going to lay the foundations, because we know the experiences we've been through. We know the amount of growth that we've accomplished or not accomplished along the way. We know what we still have to learn. We know our weaknesses. We know our strengths, all of those things. So we know what we're capable of handling, and that can be very different than what somebody else has handled or what they've been able to do along the way. Again, different personality styles too. One person can handle certain things, other people can't handle those very same things. So knowing ourselves also helps. And here again, that helps us to get that clarity because nobody else knows us quite like we know ourselves. We want to look at the facts. So really looking at the pros and the cons on things in a very practical means. What does this mean? Like, what are the pros and cons? There might be some pros that only apply at this point in time, but maybe 5 years down the line or 10 years down the line, those aren't pros anymore. You know, they're more work than they are benefits in there. So I think that that is also a big consideration and really looking at that again, both from the heart, but also from that practical point of view of does this make sense? This is a great desire of mine. My heart might really be into this, but does this work on a practical level for me? I may be able to run up and down stairs at the age of 40 like it's nothing. So a three-story house may mean nothing with a basement, But when I'm 70 or 80 years old, I may not be able to do that. So thinking a little bit about that, what are the pros and cons? Well, this one's got these, and there's going to be pros and cons on everything. So it's kind of, again, sitting down and saying, okay, here's my pros and cons, here's the benefits. What holds the greatest value? Is it, and again, these things weigh out differently for different people. Like if I'm looking at buying a house, is this a house that I want to be able to turn over to my children? Is this a house that's going to be just for me? Is this a house that I'm looking forward to have an investment in that I can just sell down the line? Looking at these different pieces, what's the purpose behind it? But also looking at when I weigh out these pros and cons, are they only a physical piece or are there other pieces of value? Because as we know, something might be very practical. For example, something might be, well, if I go 20 miles further out, away from family or my job or something like that, I have more peace and quiet, or the rents are cheaper, or whatever the case is. But is that worth the difference of, what you save in gas or buying closer? Or if you have older family member, do you want to be able to get to them faster if they need something? Or so there's lots of things. Weighing out those pros and cons becomes very important. Now, successful choices, this is a really key ingredient to it. They are timeless. Okay. They don't need to entice you. They don't need enticing packages or to draw you in. You don't have to be sold into them. And they're timeless. It doesn't matter whether it's, 1970, the year 2000, the year 2100. It's going to work no matter what the time is, no matter what the fad is, no matter what is happening in society, it is going to work. And that's a really good indication of a successful choice. Will this hold valid? Will this hold true no matter what day and time this is, no matter what direction culture and society and the world takes? Will this still work? And this is one of those things that you sit there and go, okay, what if I'm right about this? What if I'm wrong about this type of thing, right? And where is it? But if it's a timeless piece, it's going to work no matter what. It's going to have an essence about it that is going to be lasting. It's going to be stable. It's going to be something you can rely on, which is, I think, a great guide to look at. In uncertainty, and especially when we're feeling uncertainty, we do want to draw on the wisdom of parents and mentors and elders and ancestors and history in general and see how did they handle things. The cultures and the societies that made certain choices, how did they handle things? The cultures and societies that made different choices, how did they handle things? When my parents were faced with these types of decisions, how did they handle it? What were their choices? How did that work out for them? Is that something that I want? Is that something I don't want? Taking a look at those components, but getting their advice is useful, especially where they've got real and genuine experiences to draw on. That's who you want to ask when you're asking elders and mentors and people like that, people who have the actual experiences in going through something that you're thinking about doing. And then, and how did they handle it? And what worked for them, what didn't work for them? Because you may want to take a similar path, but you may also want to make some adjustments that fit for you. And you may want to make some adjustments to not repeat or to avoid some of the hardships that they went through that you don't have to go through. So learning from their experiences. And then we want to work and listen to sound, practical advice. So again, this is almost like a timeless piece. So if something is really good practical advice, okay, it's not attached to a fad. It's not sitting on one side or another. It's like it's not on one political view or another. It's just good, sound, practical advice, right? If you if you want to have more resources to work with, then getting out of debt is good, sound, practical advice and taking the steps to do it. Yeah, it may not be the most enjoyable thing, but in the long run, it provides you with a lot more because your expenses go down when you get rid of that debt, for example. So, things that are good, solid, practical advice, and especially when that advice, again, is timeless. So, regardless of what money system is in place, staying out of debt is good, sound, practical advice. So, looking at those kinds of pieces, and that's the core aspects to making successful big choices. You don't have to rush through them. Take your time with them. Feel good about the choices that you're making. Feel positive about what is going on. Again, look at these timeless pieces and really tune in. Is this a choice I'm willing to stand by, even when it gets a little challenging, even when I hit the days that aren't so fun or so enjoyable to deal with? Will I be able to still stand by this? And not in that optimistic mindset, like, yeah, like when you're really driven at the beginning of something, yeah, I can do this, I'm going to see it through. No, this has got to be the hardcore reality of, am I willing to stay through the experiences, the highs, the lows, and ride through it all? And if you are, then you're probably on track to making a good choice in things. So I hope this helps you out. I hope this will benefit you as you have choices come your way over the next couple of months, and that this helps you kind of focus in and balance that input with sitting with yourself. What's in you? What are you feeling? We got to account for what's on paper, where you're at, where you're headed, where you've been, what you can handle, what you can deal with. And only you know that. And that's why sometimes you have to get away from the external input because only you know what you can handle. And you have to be able to be very real and very honest with yourself in that process. I hope you all have a great month, and I will see you next month. Take care, everyone.